Hey, welcome to Traffic Keys. I'm your host, Atiba, and today we're going to be talking about a really fundamental topic. You can no longer be selfish in business and be successful. That's what we're going to dive into as we talk about driving traffic to your website. So, if you are a business owner and you are looking to drive traffic to your website, you are in the absolute right place. I've been doing this for literally the better part of forever. It's been over 15 years plus, 15 plus years. So, I'm here to teach you what I have learned in all of that time. So let's dive into today's topic. Now, I'm going to date myself a little bit. Y'all see some of the gray hair in here, right? I'm going to date myself a little bit. And I grew up with Scrooge McDuck, right? DuckTales. Anybody else watch DuckTales growing up? And if you remember Uncle Scrooge was that cat who had a ton of money. He was a businessman. He was a billionaire by those standards, cartoon standards. And he had all this money and he used to dive into his money and swim around and he hoarded his money. He was selfish. And if we're honest, that's what we thought about most people in business, that in order to be successful in business, we had to be selfish. We felt that way about the people who were millionaires and billionaires. But in truth, we even thought about that about just the regular Joes in business too. Might have been subconscious, but it was very true. Think about it. How often have you been a part of this scenario? You need a job done, something broke in your house, maybe something broke on your car, and you go to a professional to get it done. And the professional comes out after they've diagnosed the situation and they use a bunch of terms and a bunch of words, and you have no idea what they're talking about. And they say it's going to cost X, and that's what it costs for it to fix, right? Here's another one. Maybe you've gone to the doctor. I love this. Okay, because this happened. Unfortunately, I've got a son who hurts himself at times, and so I've been in this situation where there was an MRI or an X-ray done, and you're in the doctor's office, and the doctor comes in and he's all official, and he takes out his charts and he puts them up, and he shows you the chart, and you're looking and you have no idea what you're looking at. And he said, this is a blah, 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 blah break. And you're like, okay, I mean, I don't know. I have no idea, right? If you're live, right, do me a favor and put a hashtag live. But also, if you're live and you've experienced that, give me a thumbs up too, or a heart on here. All right. Because I know we all have. We've all been in that place where it feels like when we go to get a service done from a business that they're extremely selfish and or they put information in front of us that we have no way of understanding. What's up, Josh? Welcome. They put information in front of us that we have no way of understanding. And so then we're left in this place where it's like, well, we don't really know. And you say it's going to cost X, so I don't really have a choice. And it's not a great place to be. It's not a great feeling to have if you're a consumer, right? If you're a consumer. And get this, guys, business is changing. I've been harping on this for a few weeks now, and I'm going to keep harping on it. Business is changing, going all the way back even to being obsessed with your audience. If you're obsessed with your audience, one of the things that you're going to learn, and I really don't care what industry you're in, is your audience today wants to know more than they've ever wanted to know before. Thank Uncle Google for that. We got Uncle Josh watching us right now, but you can thank Uncle Google for that. There's more information at their fingertips today than there's ever been in the course of human history. We all know that, right? But that also means that when they show up on your doorstep, they require, they need more information. So if you're being selfish with your information, you're not going to be very successful in business. Now, what am I talking about? Well, what I'm talking about really specifically is a concept called value in advance. Value in advance. That's a term that I want you to hear, and I want it to percolate inside of you, because when we start talking about content, so we've talked a lot about audience, when we start talking about content, we need to start thinking about how do we provide value in advance for our audience? How do we educate our audience? Again, I touched on this in Audience Week a few weeks ago. If you have not watched the 5 days when we talked about audience to profits, about 3 or 4 weeks ago, go back and watch that. If you're not in the Facebook group, there's a link to the group in the description of this live or this podcast. If you're listening, join the group and go listen to I think there was day 3 that I talked about that in Audience to Profits Week. When do we communicate? No, it's day 4, excuse me. When do we communicate with our audience? There's a point in time where we have to educate our audience, where we've got to teach our audience. Guys, that is value in advance. We have to get in a mode as business owners where when we think about content, the first thing we think about is providing value in advance. We need to teach, instruct, inform, enlighten our audiences about what we do. Now, I know I'm saying that, and for some of you listening right now, right, because I'm seeing it. Like we had a bunch of people on, and I said that, and a bunch of people jumped off because it's a scary thing. It's a scary thing because you're thinking, well, I mean, if I'm a car mechanic and I do a video and show how to change your oil, won't more people just stop coming to me? No, they won't. Because guess what? The only thing that you've proven to me is that you know what you're doing. And that I don't want to do it. After seeing you do it, I don't want to do it. And you become even more valuable. That's the beauty of value in advance. That's the paradigm shift that's happening here that you and I both have to get on and understand in business. That we have to educate, show them the value of what we do, why we do, how it's going to help them and affect them. Teach them the process. Teach them the steps. Because the only thing that it does is prove that you're a professional. You know what you're doing. Number 1, builds credibility with them. And then number 2, lets them know, yo, I don't want to do that. Right? I know Uncle Josh is watching, and he's an author, and he writes great books. And honestly, hey, somebody may be looking at his book and say, man, I could write this book too. But Uncle Josh, if you did this, if you gave value in advance, and if you showed your process of how you write a book, if you showed the process of what you do when you're talking to your illustrator, what you do when you're talking to your publicist, if you show all, people will value your book even more. Now I'm picking on him because he put a hashtag live. So the rest of y'all who are watching, y'all don't want me to pick on you. Don't put a hashtag live. If you're live and you want me to talk about your business, put a hashtag live. I'll talk about you too. But seriously, guys, value advance is key. So as we start to transition, so we've talked a lot about audience, and I'm always going to talk about audience because you must be obsessed with your audience. You must be obsessed with your audience. But as we transition into starting to talk more and more and more about content and what you're putting out in the world to drive traffic to you, the thing that I need you to hear, the thing that I need you to learn, the thing that I need you to really absorb inside, I have to give value. Now, you're going to ask me a really basic question, which I'm probably going to answer for you tomorrow, which is, what is value? Well, we covered what was value about 3 months ago, but I'll bring it back later this week and we'll talk about it again. Because, yeah, that's a really big thing. You got to know what is valuable to your audience. Again, going back to, what did I say? Be obsessed about your audience. You got to know your audience to know what's going to be valuable to them, to be able to provide them that value in advance. And the key is in advance. In advance means before they purchase. In advance means before they decide to use you. In advance means as they're getting indoctrinated into the know, like, and trust. They're just getting to know you. They're just starting to like you, and you're providing value in those instances so that they can begin to trust you. Before they purchase, they have to know you, like you, and trust you. And you've got to provide value. So if all this sounds like, okay, I hear you, but I don't even understand what that means. If you're on the podcast and you're like, dude, okay, I got you, but how does that work for me? I want to hear from you. I tell you guys all the time, I appreciate when y'all send me emails. I get some wonderful emails from you guys asking some great questions, and we have great dialogues. Send me an email, hello@traffickeys.com. If you're on Facebook, you can leave me a comment right here, and I'll get back to you. If you're not in the Facebook group, get in the Facebook group. This is where we communicate. This is where we talk back and forth. And this is where you get to meet other like-minded people who are trying to do the same thing that you're trying to do, drive traffic to their websites, and we can learn from each other. All right, everybody. That's it for today. Remember, what are we talking about? Value in advance. Stop being selfish. You cannot hoard all of your knowledge and because you think, oh my gosh, or you know what? Hold on. I'm not going yet. I got one more point to make. Forgot this point. Or you think, if I tell people, if I do a video, if I write a blog and talk about what my process is my competitor going to copy me? Oh my gosh, they're going to copy me. Guess what? Ain't nothing new under the sun. There is nothing new under the sun. So I know you think your process and the way you do things are so wonderful, but guess what? Somebody else does it too. Somebody else does it too. So get over that. Value in advance because your customer needs it. It ain't about your competition. Your customer needs it. All right, everybody. That's it for today. I will see you guys real soon, probably tomorrow. Bye-bye.